All right, welcome to another episode of Topic North Texas here with the North Texas Commission. And of course, I've got my friend and colleague, Andrea Coker here. Today is going to be kind of a grab bag of topics. We've got a lot of different things going on within the region, so we thought we'd just kind of take a look at how they're connected, what's going on here in North Texas. And of course, it's kind of the lull before the storm as far as politics goes.
I feel like it's the lull a little bit. We're going to talk about what the politicians are really doing right now, and that's polling and fundraising. But first, we are going to acknowledge that the first dog of Texas has sadly passed away. Governor Abbott's dog, Pancake.
Not Pancake.
Died this week. I remember when they got him as a puppy, I think his first year in as governor, they got Pancake. So been around a while. I think we can agree no matter what side of the aisle you're on, no dog should die and all dogs go to heaven. So
that's it.
Pour one out for Pancake this week.
Probably a maple flavored bourbon something. Yeah.
And then let's talk about the only interesting numbers we're seeing right now, which is what are James Tallarico and Ken Paxton raising? And right now, and this is announced, the reports are not out yet, Tallarico is announcing $30 million raised in this quarter, and Ken Paxton is announcing $9 million raised.
And that's putting him ahead of Beto O'Rourke proportionally, right?
Proportionally, yes. And though Ken Paxton is trailing Tallarico by quite a bit, it's notable because that is Paxton's largest fundraising number to date.
Right.
He raised only, I believe, $7 million total for the primary and the runoff together. So that's the best he has done. Obviously, we're going to continue to see tons and tons of money poured into Texas on the Tallarico side. A lot of people were speculating with all of the Graham Planter news from Maine last week that will shift the focus even more to Texas for the Senate, because even if they're going to get another candidate, but it's not the campaign they hope to wage against Susan Collins. And so the eyes, pun intended, more towards Texas are upon us. And we're going to see at least $150 million, I think, raised.
Oh, I think that's the bottom.
Post primary from Tallarico.
Yeah. Well, and with the Supreme Court loosening up more restrictions again,
yes,
you're going to have that challenge. And of course, I think to your point, we saw what happens when a candidate is changed midstream back in the presidential election. So I can absolutely understand why there might be a shift.
I think so. And I think our phones and TVs and computers are all going to see the glut of ads.
The amount of spam calls that have been coming to my phone has just increased exponentially over the last few weeks.
Well, and I mentioned to TJ earlier, I personally got a polling call from my local congressional candidate, I believe, or an associated PAC last night. And it took 30 minutes, which I was not anticipating when I answered it. And I want to encourage all of you, polling is not great right now, not for any one person, but because people aren't answering phone numbers they don't know, because the way that we poll is changing. If you get a call and it says something about data or something or poll in the number on your phone, answer it. Like, be the person to give an opinion. Better polling helps us all, and makes races more interesting. It was worth my 30 minutes.
You're stronger person than I would have been.
But it's also very, I think, enlightening to listen to them test message. If it's a candidate poll, it's more than just who are you voting for.
Right.
They're testing messages, and it's funny to see what you hear on a polling call then come into mail and digital ads. You're going to see that again. And from what I can gather, we are going to continue to talk about the Trump tax cuts and border security, even though I feel like that's not as much of an issue nearly as it was 2 years ago.
Right.
It's going to continue to be a talking point, and it's economy and jobs. That is the message they're testing, is what is landing for families on economy and jobs.
It'll be interesting to see. Now, have you heard anything about the midterm Trump-a-palooza that's coming to Dallas?
I've heard a little bit, and I think there was a little bit of kerfluffle because this is not for delegates, official delegates.
Right.
Technically, if there's any party business within the 4 years, if you were a delegate in the presidential convention, it lasts. There is no party business. This is a rally. We are calling it a convention.
I gotcha.
So they're not organizing official party business. It's going to be basically a series of rallies and speeches, and it is a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And it is an expensive fundraiser. I believe $5,000 was the minimum for honorary delegate some of the grassroots who feels like they are the ones who have supported President Trump
Mm-hmm.
and supported the Republicans in office. I've seen some upset people online that
They can't get
that
in.
they can't get in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there might be a free rally one night or something like
Sure.
that. But for the most part, this is designed to raise fundraising, I think, to get a lot of earned media
Mm-hmm.
instead of having to pay for all of that. I'm interested to see if the Democrats will try anything similar or what opposing
What's the counter message?
what opposing programming are they doing? If President Trump is speaking at Kay Bailey Hutchison Center, are they going to have Clyde Warren Park blocked off for a James Talarico rally and kind of a duel? I'm interested to see how that plays. I don't think we have a rule book anymore for what this looks like.
No.
And for what the next few months will look like. Right now, I was saying the fundraising numbers are in. Polling shows the race is tied.
Mm-hmm.
What I think we're shaping up to see, I know this is not...
And the Cook report just shifted us slightly.
Slightly, but not a ton.
Yeah.
We are talking about the Talarico-Paxton race. We're talking about Gina Hinojosa and Governor Abbott. At its core, this race is James Talarico versus Greg Abbott.
That's right.
Those are the two men with money.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two people driving conversation. Those are the two people who have the biggest bases, have the biggest war chests, and will be driving messaging and feet on the ground. This is going to be a huge grassroots endeavor that Greg Abbott will have probably over 1,000 paid walkers. I would look for James Talarico to have the same. Democrats will do a huge push to register voters. Republicans will do some, but not as much. That's always been a key Democratic strategy because their voters are younger and more mobile. It's going to be the Greg Abbott versus James Talarico show, I think, and you'll see that coalescing and more in the next couple of months. Let's see what else. Oh, Gina Hinojosa came out with her $1,500 for every family
I saw that
policy, which is that's a big play. I think we'll hear a lot about that.
Well, she's tying it to the rainy day fund.
She's saying we've got the money. It should go back to the taxpayers, which in a way is a Republican. It is a Republican view.
I've said it for years. When you're sitting on that much money, that you could interpret that as overtaxation.
Correct. What are we doing with all this money? Why do we tax it in the first place if we don't need it? And she's going, let's just give it back to people. Now she's messaging it as a counter to inflated prices and people an affordability crisis
and overtaxation.
But at its core, it's more of a classic old school Republican. Give the money back to the people.
Remember, we had $300 checks that came from Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely Republicans that have sent. Trump sent back. There was a tax return that came back with Trump. I think Trump won. But yeah, I mean, it has definitely been a card that the Republicans have played when things are looking a little shaky.
And so now people who are opposing her plan, but are supporting maybe the Trump plans for the children's savings accounts, it's just we're playing fast and loose with doling out dollars and to whom. It's a very interesting, like I said, there's no rules anymore. We got rid of all of them.
No,
so
there's not a chicken in every pot. Now it's just dollars straight to your account.
Nope. So yeah. Oh, one interesting poll that has come out, and it is not North Texas based. When they redistricted, a lot of the current Republican seats got just a little bit less safe Republican to make some other seats from Democrat to Republican.
So instead of 13, they'll 7.
They'll win. I think they're trying to keep them all over 10.
Over 10.
But they're also changing loyalties down in South Texas. In Texas 15, where existing Congresswoman Monica De La Cruz is against Bobby Polito, she is losing in polling, and not by a margin of error. Well,
she has to introduce herself to a whole new constituency.
Polito is very well known. He's a singer, and everybody knows him. I think this could be one of the Democrat flips. Especially, they're going to see that polling. Polling begats spending. So if you can say, look at this poll, I have a chance, then you get more national spend. One begats the other. And then when you spend more, then people give more.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of money down in South Texas trying to move those Hispanic, Latino voters for Trump back to Democrats if maybe that was a Democrat area before.
Yeah, so, I think the polling is showing that swing is beginning to happen.
I think the new seat, the swap seat here in 32 is safe. It was one of the safest of all of the changes. So I don't think we'll see much of that here, but I think there are some state house races that are going to be way closer and possibly flipped than anybody could know.
Yeah.
We'll have more polling next month when we come back.
Good times. Good times.
So 4 months out.
That's it. I mean, we're going to have to listen to this for 4 more months.
4 more months.
Can we just say I've made my decision and have them pass us? I mean, they've got all the rest of the data on us. If they can't, they just no. That's my dream. Is when I go to vote, the noise stops.
Well, and what's happening with the SAVE Act federally?
Yes.
If something passes to that effect, we're getting to the point where it's going to be very difficult to enact any changes.
Right.
Ballots go out 60 days ahead to overseas voters, to your military, to your expats. And so we're running out of time for anything substantially to happen. Voter rolls are locked.
The courts don't like to make changes as it gets close. So,
no rules, TJ. No rules.
Fair.
So, watch this space. We'll see what happens in the coming months.
So when we talk about politics, we're really talking about the way that we handle the tremendous amount of change, economics. We're talking about housing. We're talking about logistics. We're talking about all the different things that make us go. And one thing I think everybody here in North Texas has experienced is, 20, 25 years of let's go. So when we're talking about these politicians, this is not just, a small, Republican versus Democrat. This is about how we're spending hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars within the region. How do we make sure that we are prepared for what's coming up next? So when I look at, I tend to look at these things through a more transportation, population type of lens, and especially with my time with the transit organizations, with our regional transportation council. And one of the things that just came out recently is that TxDOT is starting their rolling their next set of numbers on their rolling transportation plan. It's UTP, and that plan for the 27 year is actually going down. So
the money has gone down?
The total amount of dollars has gone down.
But not the amount of people they expect to need to serve.
That's right. So, yes.
Who made that decision?
So that decision gets made by TxDOT, and it's usually fed by the comptroller's office and the governor.
And you mean the North Texas area or Texas as a whole? I'm talking
Texas as a whole.
Okay.
Now,
we were too many roads, too many lanes.
Yeah, too much.
Goes too fast.
Too much.
Too little traffic.
So, and so North Texas is, if you want to do this on a per capita basis, we're about 27% of the population of Texas lives in North Texas.
Yes. But over a third of the economy.
Yeah, over a third of the economy. And as far as road spend goes, I want to say the number's in that 20 to 25% of the number. So it's close, but we are absolutely funding transportation in other parts of the state. We are a net, red state, blue state, we are a net provider to the rest of the state as far as funding goes for transportation types of tools. And so when we talk about that number, though, think back in 2014, I actually was digging around. That UTP number is a 10-year rolling number.
Okay.
So in 14, you want to guess how much money Texas spent on transportation through TxDOT?
I do not want to embarrass myself by guessing.
It would be very difficult to guess because it was $34 billion.
That's actually exactly what I was going to guess.
Yes, right there on the number. Now, today, or the peak, it peaked out in 2025 at $104 billion.
Okay. That's a lot of growth in a decade.
Yeah, we went from what, 34 to 104 in roughly a decade.
Okay. And need every single one of those.
And I don't know anybody that's sitting here. In fact, it took me an extra 10 minutes to come here on 6:35. You got out the door about 2 minutes before I did, and I was 8 minutes behind. So it's a timing thing. But we're talking about going from this past year was 101.6 billion, and we're dropping down to just roughly 95 billion. So that tells me that the folks at the state level, at least, are seeing some contraction in our overall budget, or reallocation that they're taking away for transportation and putting it in other places. Now, for those of you who have been on the roads in North Texas, especially in some of the northern parts, 380 being one in Denton and Collin County, that massive amount of growth, who builds those roads? Well, most of it comes on the county right now. And the county doesn't have the money. TxDOT doesn't have the money. We're not seeing stuff being added as fast as it's been added over the last
Which has led to a lot of toll roads, which leads to a lot of controversy.
Right. Well, and there are three ways you deal with congestion. three at least from a financial standpoint. First is TxDOT. And those are, state, federal. The second is toll roads or public-private partnerships. And the third is transit. So whether that's rail, bus rapid transit, something like that. In North Texas, we've got a few challenges. Number one, if you use TxDOT, well, we haven't increased the gas tax. Cars are much more efficient. And so we're getting more degradation of the system. We're getting heavier cars. We're getting less revenue per mile driven. So that's driving down the numbers. Texas has had to put more money into TxDOT and transportation over the years from the oil funds. It's moved money from other spots to be able to keep this number afloat because the underlying financing of roads in Texas has been declining over time, just from things like the gas tax and the types of vehicles that we use. So you're looking at that. The next one is you're looking at public-private partnerships, which are toll roads. And if you talk to any politician and just about any person, we don't like that.
No, they'll say they hate toll roads, and then you ask them how they got there, and they will tell you on a toll road.
Yeah, they'll tell you it was on a toll road. And when you think about funding in North Texas, toll roads happened in a political environment that basically says we don't like it, but we didn't have another option, because TxDOT didn't have the funds to do that. So when you're talking about any toll road that you're on in North Texas today, just think about, okay, well, we don't like them. Let's get rid of them. What would your commute look like today?
Ooh, not great.
Lots of time with the family.
Lots of time in my car.
Yeah, exactly. With the family, because you'd all be paddling together, right?
I guess.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. That's why I drive a Miata, so I don't have to haul the family around.
Well, and my question is, who brought this number down? Was it the first, second, or third comptroller we've had this year?
Right. So I don't think it always comes from the comptroller, but it definitely, some of those numbers are in there. Now, TxDOT has been tracking this, so my guess it would be the first. Now, the question now becomes, what does the comptroller do? That's a fun one.
Especially this comptroller who hasn't won an election yet.
Right.
Other than, a primary, but we haven't seen what he wants. We haven't really... This will be maybe one of the first things he does. And
the only thing he does is set the budget, right? He tells the state what they have to spend. So if he doesn't like how they're spending things, he could change some things around. He could just say, I don't like these numbers. So the fascinating thing that might happen with the comptroller is it just locks up the entire system in Austin this next year. We'll see. We'll see how political this gets. Now, the third option, though, when we're talking about transportation, is we're talking about rail, bus, something that moves large amounts of people to large business centers. Well,
it's a good thing we have a few of those.
We have a few, but what's been happening in Dallas?
Everybody's going the other way.
Yeah, so they're heading out to Frisco's, McKinney's, Plano. So and when you think about that growth corridor, that's the 75 corridor. So
and DART was designed to bring people downtown.
That's right.
And then take them home again, not necessarily for this spider web that we have now as a region.
That's right. And so no one transit agency is tasked with making sure that we have a good large-scale transit system like a Houston to move people back and forth from those systems. So what do you do? Do you just get rid of it? Is there a need for it? Well, we know by the numbers there's going to be a need for it, and there is a need for it.
Yeah.
It's just that right now, this is the largest system by mileage when you talk about DART's rail system. And then you throw in DCTA, you throw in Trinity Metro, but they all work kind of independently. If they all work together, it would be different.
It would be nice to be able to get on a train, the same system, the same payment, and go from Lake Highlands, where I live, to Fort Worth if I have a meeting there. But right now,
not there.
That doesn't do it.
So there are conversations in the region happening now where we might look at, okay, what's an entity that actually looks at congestion, and we say, hey, there's X number of dollars available on this stretch of road. Does this mean more lanes? Does this mean toll road? Or does this mean maybe adding a bus rapid transit or adding a more train capacity? So, and those numbers are available. It's fascinating to watch. Here in North Texas, because I have my DCTA line, that's 21 miles of rail and runs right next to I-35. Every time I-35 starts to get congested and the time starts to get a little slower, we start seeing ridership increase. And then what happens? They build out some extra lanes on 35. The commute times go down.
And people
suddenly the rail access starts to go down. So you can see $1 spent over here reduces capacity over here. We can do the same on the other side. When we added rail capacity, what happened to commuter times on the streets? Now, I think the key here is that everybody looks at this as just people moving, right? Me going to my job, to and from work. This is for every car I get, I'm kind of stealing or paraphrasing Chairman Bryant from DART. Every car you take off of this lane and move over here is somebody else going faster.
Yeah.
And that could be a plumber, that could be an electrician, that could be a long haul trucker, could be an ambulance. So that when we're talking about this is not just moving people in a vacuum. This is about the logistics of North Texas and business capacity as well.
Well, and I think as we on this side improve that first mile, last mile, that's when we also see more people will ride if they can get exactly where they need to go, not sort of in the vicinity of where they need to go. You don't want to get almost there and then have to call an Uber. That's not sustainable.
Yeah. No, and we've seen where these micro-mobility things come in, like the GoZone tools, or it's like an Uber. What we've seen is people are actually using it more to get to the train stations. Because they don't want to leave their car in a parking lot. I get it. Instead of leaving your car there, maybe paying for parking, depending on where you've parked, but also, hey, those catalytic converters. They said that. What word was that? these catalytic converters just go missing. And they do that even at the airport. And so how do you mitigate for that? Well, this lets you keep your car at home. So we've got some amazing new tools that are kicking in. I think as a region, we have to really spend some more conversations around that. But I think where you're going to see ways for us to increase that growth, and folks, if you make a lot of money doing this, please let me know. And just remember me. If you're watching those rail corridors, you have, somewhere around 80, 85 rail stations along all these corridors. Every one of those is the opportunity for transit-oriented development, for people who want to live in a more work, live, play kind of environment where you can get more density, you can increase land values. That helps cities be more successful. That helps people be more successful if they want to have that lifestyle. It also reduces the congestion for folks that maybe want to live a little bit further out or want to have, that quarter acre or half acre or 2 acre ranchette. It's a win-win if we can figure out how to get those rail corridors densified is what the word is, I guess.
In all of the World Cup, all of the Europeans coming to America and asking questions about culture, I saw one that was, why do you Americans give distance in time? Like, why are you telling me it's 45 minutes away? I'm like, because that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter that I'm 5 miles away from somewhere I want to go to across town. It's going to take me 45 minutes to get there.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But I could go visit my parents this way and it's 45 minutes, but it's 30 miles away. Like, it doesn't, that's just how we measure time. And people are increasingly valuing their time. They want things expeditiously. They want to live, work, and play in a smaller area. And so we wanted to talk about downtowns.
Yep.
And what's going on with downtowns.
So we've got to figure out downtowns because they are kind of a neat thing right now. But who's paying for this stuff, right? And how do we make that work? Well, when you get more density, you can share that cost over a smaller area. You can actually create tax increment zones that allow you to develop them more. But I think what's more important is people are suddenly realizing, hey, we got to build more community. And so, as I go to our different downtowns in the region, I'm seeing more and more people walking their dogs.
Yes.
And by the way, if you're a planner and you haven't talked to your council about this, your infrastructure needs to take into account dogs because millennials have more dogs than kids.
Yeah, cheaper.
And so it's or starter kids. I don't know what they call them. Anyhow, but that's part of the challenge is when we start building these types of environments, what do we need to plan for? Dogs are a part of it. So how do we make that space happen? And I think another space where cities are trying to figure out, how to do better is when they bring in different types of businesses. And so how do we get benefits off of those types of businesses? And I think the biggest conversation around that right now is data centers. And you're not seeing those in a downtown necessarily, but you're seeing them in Red Oak. You're seeing them in a conversation in Denton. There's 2 of them. Denton has its own power utility, so they can create a lot of rules about data centers. But you're seeing where the city of Denton says we can force them to pay everything for the utility, but you've got residents saying, well, we still don't want them. And so you've got this real push-pull going on. The governor is right in the middle of
The
that.
governor is an ever-changing windsock in the winds blowing of data centers, or there's a metaphor there. I don't know what it is.
There is.
But we are, I feel like I wake up every morning to different news about what's going on and what our governor thinks of data centers and what's going to come in session.
Right.
At first, and I think sometimes he's right when he says all of it.
Mhm.
He was right in that if we want to lead in AI and lead in financial services going forward, we have to have data centers. They're supporting the jobs that are coming. I mean, Goldman Sachs, the huge investment from Merrill Lynch. We have JP Morgan's largest headquarters outside of Manhattan.
Fidelity.
Fidelity is here. We have so much financial services that's dependent on AI. And then the services to the financial services, that all of those AI companies that are doing all of these different things, they need to be here and they have to have those data centers. Many of them are here. They're already getting involved in our communities. They're already donors to a lot of major politicians who support data centers. And a month or so ago, the governor came out and said, we want them to make sure that we're not raising electricity rates on Texas families. I think everybody's in support of that. We need to make sure that they're using closed-looped or equal water conservation technology level systems in all new data centers that are built to kind of curb the water usage. We need to make sure that they are not an eyesore and they're involved in the community, the noise issue, some real regulations that everybody was like, yeah, okay. And then it went quiet a little bit. My guess is there was some polling, and I've never seen the grassroots on the right and left.
Yes.
Together. It's the horseshoe theory. You've got Bernie Sanders agreeing with, the downtown Republican Women's Club, and you're like, what's happening? I don't understand. I went to the data center hearing, and they are circulating petitions for a complete ban of new data centers for.
Well, you've got job anxiety, right?
Yes.
So while energy and water and these all seem like really objective, I think there's an emotional piece to this as well, which is I could be out of a job.
Or everybody knows somebody who is currently out of a job.
Yes.
And whether it was AI's fault or not, it's easy to blame AI.
It is.
And so I think it's scary as a parent looking at what your kids are going to do for jobs. It's scary as a family whose one of our incomes is dependent on financial services. It's going, are we all going to get replaced by it? What are we going to do? Right. What's the economy going to be if nobody has a job? Right.
Well, then you've got Sid Miller on his farewell tour.
Should we have him on?
Yeah, we should. But he was on Yolitics this past week. Yes, I listened to some other podcasts.
Don't listen to other podcasts.
You shouldn't. This is the best one. Well, it'll get there. But you've got Sid Miller calling he wants a special session. He says that the governor can't play this both sides. He's saying the governor's
personally. I like when he uses AI generated graphics to do things like call for a special session.
Right?
On AI
Isn't it amazing?
Centers.
Everybody's doing it.
That's my favorite. But I do think this is and this is where what we're talking about here and the politics coincide. We are used to our politicians going very, very far right or very, very far left in the primary, and then not really having to moderate at all because it was decided. Your safe districts, Texas is a safe state. We are seeing our politicians, especially our Republicans, moderate a little bit and have to really do some tap dancing to win their voters that they have not before. So I think you're seeing Governor Abbott moderate on data centers a little bit. I think you're seeing him moderate a little bit on a few other issues economically. This is have your cake and eat it too. He wants to regulate and encourage data centers at the same time. What he's saying until November, and then what happens from November through session.
That's right.
I think we are between property tax and data centers. I don't want to say we're set up for some of the worst fights, but there's some of the least clear fights on who's supporting what fraction within parties themselves. Like it's going
to be muddy.
I keep saying it's going to be interesting. It's always going to be interesting, but
it'll be fascinating to see where those lines show up.
I think you'll have some Democrats supporting Republican bills, Republicans siding with Democrat on some different data center, the rural versus the urban, because he has now come out and said there should be a ban in rural areas. Yeah. And you're like, well, what technically is that? Or does Red Oak count as a rural area? There's not a lot of people there, but it's a stone's throw from downtown Dallas. Yeah. Like, what are we What are we regulating here?
Yeah. Well, I think we're about out of time. That was kind of, a lot of different topics that are interconnected. But the worst thing about all of this is that we are incredibly successful. So we have these kinds of problems. I can tell you that for traveling the country, everybody would kill for our worst day.
Yeah.
So anything else to add?
Well, and I think we said it last time, but I don't know that we got any suggestions. TJ and I go once a month to eat barbecue and review it on Instagram, on our own channels for our own jollies. But if you have a suggestion for where we should go next, we went to Hutchins Barbecue in Trophy Club this month.
Unfortunately, we didn't get audio.
We're
we're going to go back.
We're not great at this. We're going to go back.
We're just going to have to go back.
If you have a great idea of where we should go eat barbecue, you should tell us in the comments.
Right. Y'all have a great one. Thanks for listening to the North Texas Commission with what we bring here and Topic North Texas. Again,
wow.
I can't speak
Topic
today.
North Texas. Thank you for being here with us today.
Take care.